How's it going, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be tackling the Hellfire Club team on the playtest. We're going to be doing them in the Chaotic Storm raid scene. Now, they're, as they are supposed to be, the new Mutant raid team. But we're also going to see how Azazel is performing with the Accursed and Crucible, and how Rachel Summers is elevating the Immortal team. Now, I've already done the CC testing. I had to do it beforehand. Not too impressed, which is why you saw the title of this video. But I haven't done the raids yet, so let's go on over into the raids and let's jump in there. And we're just going to see how they perform. I don't really know Sebastian Shaw's kit very well, but I know Emma's and Madeline's pretty intimately because of their time in war. So we're going to come in here real quick and we'll just see how this goes. And right away I noticed that part of my screen is cut off, so let's just go ahead and fix this. It's cut off because when we go to the recorded footage later, that's what we're going to need. All right, so we got the boss Madeline, who's going to give us defense down as well as her debuff there. So the big thing about this team is we're doing lots and lots and lots of turn meter rewinds. The thing about Azazel's ultimate, he does get to start his ultimate because he gets energy on spawn, is it is a rebound chain that rewinds, which is... Why is Emma almost dead? That was one hit, brother. What are we doing here? All right, clear all barrier. I need to clear... Oh, God. Hold on. Bury yourself in Hellfire for 30% gain taunt. Maybe the ult's got to be better, right? Attack primary if charged, second, while charged. I mean, I don't care how much damage it does. I need to protect my Emma or she's dead. So if I were to be simming this would not go well for me right out the gate. Emma's so close to dying. Okay. Let's go diamond form so that she can take these hits a lot better. There's her charge. Yeah, so now she's going to just absolutely take the hits like a beast. So that's good. But right away, man, that's not going to go well when it comes to simming. And I mean, that is a 7 red star Emma, but what if it was one of the newer characters and they were that much weaker, right? That doesn't sound very good. Let's keep the berry going. Maybe we want Fortifier on Shaw instead of Striker for this point. I just thought that I'd like the damage Striker from Shaw, as I think the other people kind of excel as Raiders a bit more. Well, maybe we'll have to switch that up. All right, Shaw comes in. Shaw's taking a bunch of turns. He's doing a whack load of damage. That's good. Let's use the ultimate here. It does remove our charge, but it'll get the speed up off of these spiders. I think it's crazy how much damage Emma took there. That was highly concerning. Infinite spaces, though, so we should get a bunch of turn meter rewinds here, which is good. There you go. Kind of the nature of the beast of this character, though, is it's RNG on where the rebound chains are going to go. So it's hard to say. I'll just go ahead and special here. Madeline is such a fun character to play. I really think it's a shame they didn't move her speed stat whatsoever. Her speed stat is, what, 104? Yes, Emma Frost kind of bridges the gap. I say kind of because not really, right? Not really. 104 is still super slow. Somebody would have to be in like the one teens to be still going before her. I just don't like it. I don't like it one bit. All right, we do have Emma pre-charged here, so any sort of additional damage we'll figure out. You see that Azazel special. Not a bad special. Look at those nice debuffs we have all over the place. We love seeing that. We got some good controlling effects laid out. This does hit all enemies. If charged, it'll clear. That's great. Or does it clear my own charge or their charge? Clears my charge. Okay, that's fine. Get a big hit in there. I actually don't know the striker information on Shaw, so I have to see if he is stunning when he's charged on his ISO attack. I think that's what his basic does if charged. We're going to go check that out here in a second. All right. I'm unsurprised. We're ripping through the raids. There was that awkward moment at first with the Omega Sentinel. I mean, if we have like 3-star Rachel Summers, is that going to be a one-shot on Rachel? That would be my big concern. Obviously, the big concern you should have when it comes to this team, why would you build this team for chaotic raids, right? If you're building this team, you're going to build it for what the next raids are. And we know there's raids coming in August of 2025. It is now August 2025. I know time is just mercilessly fast. Time is going so fast, my God. But we will be needing them for the new raid soon. I highly suspect that this team does turn meter rewinds, but it doesn't rely on getting as much speed bar. So I think we're going to see a lot of North Stars. We're going to see a lot of different ways where the enemy is controlling our speed bar generation, which will, of course, ruin Old Man Logan, who's the heart and soul of the current mutant raid team. Although some people are getting by the raids right now with the Immortal X-Men. So this team is not needed for our current raid usage, but it will be soon. Like our raid usage is obviously going to change very soon, and it'll be needed then. So do not skip this team. If anyone tells you to skip this team, don't. Make sure you have them up and running for raids, and we don't know what that's going to mean when it comes to the final form of the mutant lane in the next raids. All right, so Hank's actually going to go first here. Sebastian Shaw takes that hit really well. Of course, this is a 7 red star Shaw, so there is that taken into account. I'm not loving the ultimate from Shaw. I don't... Yeah, I'd much rather have the barrier. His big damage is cool, I guess, but I don't know. I'd rather have some AoE, because this team is going to live and die off of getting kills, right? With Azazel giving energy out on kills. So if we're not getting those fast enough, then we're not getting the buff clears from Emma's ult. And we're not going to be able to, land the debuffs. Look how much immunities are out here. We're not going to be to land the debuffs that Rachel can then spread to people. All the stuns and everything that we want to be landing. So we need to be getting the kills fast. Safeguard looks like it could be an issue if the tanks were big enough, right? We'd be stuck on this guy for frickin' ever. So there's definitely a couple of holes in the kits here from what I'm seeing. I will say, from some of the guys I was talking to who are also testing this, it doesn't seem as bad. That opening Omega Sentinel was definitely like, oh, what the heck is that? But otherwise, at least at 7 red stars, it doesn't seem that bad. Surviving up until your reworked characters can carry you on this team doesn't sound super fun, though, when I think about it, right? So let's put that into perspective. On that Omega Sentinel node, the first one, if I had to wait until Madeline Pryor's turn, because Emma doesn't really do damage. If I had to wait until Madeline Pryor's... We're almost dead? This is insane. Wait, hold a minute. We're almost dead? Peggy is ruining us that much? If I had to wait till Madeline Pryor's turn, and I had free-to-play characters, they're dead to that Omega Sentinel before Madeline Pryor comes in and saves the day. So that's super awkward, right? Not a huge fan of that. Here we go. Some big damage. Emma can throw a blind out over here, get that offense up off of Peggy. All right, good. And we get the turn meter rewind from Azazel, so that should probably right the ship. And we'll see if we can get some healing going. Emma has great self-healing if you don't remember the terrible days of having to deal with her. Unavoidables, so we get some good debuffs going there. We don't have a speed up flip yet. Although I do believe Rachel starts doing some crazy stuff because of speed up, right? Or maybe that's only in Crucible with the Immortals. I know their kit's better in Crucible than I do in Raids, to be 100% honest. Alright, Sassamasquatch did his thing. This is going to attack primary, flip 3 positive into negative effects, reduce speed bar 25. Opponents attack the most injured enemy, reducing again. Spread and stun 3 other negative effects from primary to the most injured. It's only to the most injured. I mean, he would be the most injured. I mean, let's just do it here, I guess. Just so we hit. Yeah, okay. We'll throw this guy here. Daddy Nightcrawler versus Baby Nightcrawler. Baby Nightcrawler going to take those debuffs off. I put Emma beside Shaw because I figured she'd be in diamond form and she tanked the hits really well, but she's not loving life right now. We're in a minute 30 in. We've been kind of yapping, so I don't think there's a timeout issue per se with this team, but do remember this is with the team at like max 7 yellow, 7 red. Our rework characters on this team are not the same as like Punisher, man. Madeline is no Punisher. I see some flaws. Let me know what you guys are seeing here. We're looking at the raid footage. Again, I'm more interested in the Crucible footage, but I'm seeing some big flaws in the raid footage here, at least in this raid. But let's be honest, the truth is that the next raid tier will be built to counter what the Extreme X-Men Old Man Logan do. It just will be. And so we're going to be needing to use the new raid team. And that's just the way it's always been. It's the way it's always going to be. And it is just fine. It's just the raid team tax is what it comes down to, right? So if you're a new player, you don't have Extreme built yet, do not build Extreme because they beat the Chaotic raids better than the Hellfire team does. Build the Hellfire team because you're going to need them in the future raids that you're going to be doing, hopefully, sooner rather than later. All right, that's it for the raid stuff, though. That still took 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and get into some Crucible footage and break this down real quick. All right, so let's go ahead and let's dive into the Accursed team to start this one off. Starting with Azazel, and how is he going to sort of solidify that Accursed team? Let's acknowledge the weaknesses of the Accursed team first. They're very slow, right? At a speed stat of 125, we have Satana coming in, and she's not really doing enough to protect her team before that. She has damage reduction for her team. But in the face of characters like Quasar or Songbird, or heck, the new Fantastic Four members, Franklin Richards and Invisible Woman, who hits like an absolute unit, that just doesn't cut it. That little damage reduction she has, they still die, even though they can't have XYZ debuffs, right? Azazel comes in and he seeks to remedy that a little bit. So the Black Bishop on spawn, if this character has 3 or more Accursed allies, he's going to fill speed bar by 5%. He'll generate 1 ability energy for himself, and then he's going to be doing a whack load of rewinds, but on a rebound chain, right? This 5% isn't enough, in my opinion. This puts him, I think, just below 128. So characters that are still above 128 speed stat will still go first. Let's go ahead and check out some gameplay of this team in action now, and I'll just talk our way through this one. This is against a Mephisto Gore Super Skrull Null team, if you will. So this is a team that the regular Curse would not struggle with. It's the same sort of deal, right? I mean, wouldn't struggle with is maybe not the best word. They would still take a big beating. This is not going to be an efficient fight either way. The debuffs that Juggernaut has, not like Azazel is going to be fixing that. He only decays a few off. See, he didn't get any of his buffs up. One of the other issues that Accursed has is if they can't land trauma, they're in trouble. This happens against Phoenix Force. This happens against Mephisto. He gets that mark of Mephisto out. And you see that starts to become an issue, right? But Azazel comes in and he tries to do his rewind, but you can't rewind against the mark of Mephisto, so none of that lands. We do see very little damage happened as well. Satana is going to come in now. Now, her damage is percentage, so she's going to do really good damage. She'll take out that Juggernaut, and we'll gain speed bar now. So we do gain speed bar against the mark of Mephisto, and that's going to allow us to make sure we go before the enemy team. Hellfire's going to do what Hellfire does, and Azazel doesn't really show up here. We will get this W. It gets a little bit uglier before it gets clean. I do think Azazel ends up dying here, if I'm not mistaken, because he just kind of gets tunneled down. He's not the tankiest guy in the world either. You can see, yeah, he's starting to get beat up. He's got that exposed, so it doesn't really help too much in that regard. But I do end up winning this fight, or rather, I end up quitting out. So let me go grab another match, and let's have another example. All right, so here's an example of a matchup that I think Azazel was targeted to secure up so that you could probably put this team on defense and have a little bit more security in how things are going to go. So what we have here is we have Songbird, Quasar, and we have some Night Stalkers. They obviously don't get their speed up. You see Songbird goes first. Look at the damage we took. And I just want to notice, Quasar's only at 129. He's still going before Azazel, right? Now we have a slower Blade and a slower Oath. But if this was the Infinity Watch people instead, how dead are these characters, right? If this was Franklin and Invisible Woman MCU with Quasar and Songbird instead, those 3 Accursed are dead and this is a lost match. So it did nothing to answer that. I think Azazel needed to be much faster to kind of impact something like this. And he's just not, in my opinion. It's not enough. I'll win this fight again, but it's just because Blade and Oath are useless in this particular matchup, right? It is nice that at least he's going before them. He answers the Night Stalkers 2-piece. Okay, sure. Let's see another example. All right, so here is... All right, so here is Accursed up against Fantastic Four, Odin, and Professor X. I wouldn't really expect this team to win because of Professor X, but I wouldn't expect it to flame out as just miraculously as it does. So Franklin's going to go here. There's our silence. And then Invisible Woman is going to do her passive, and then Invisible Woman ults, and we're dead. Right? Okay, so let's move on. And finally, for this Accursed showcase, we're going to check them out up against the Phoenix Force, Endgame Thanos, Gladiator, and Shadow King team. And the reason Gladiator is kind of an Achilles heel to the Accursed team is because he's a villain. So he'll still get his taunt off. So we're kind of stuck there, which is I can't really rewind who I would want to rewind in this matchup. That's something else that I wish Azazel would answer. I wish Azazel would decay effects off his rebound, maybe just his primary target. Just something, right? So we're kind of stuck here. I will eventually get through the Gladiator, no problem, because I'm going to drain him off. But this is now not really an Azazel showcase. This is the Accursed doing the Accursed do. I could have brought in a different fifth to perform this feature, right? So go over there, hit the ability block, and we're doing all this kind of stuff. And this is a winnable matchup, except for that happens. So once again, not being able to put trauma out there leads to Azazel getting stunned and him just getting absolutely ripped apart. I do believe this is yet another match that I win, although it could be a match that you lose under the wrong circumstances because you can't get that trauma out there and you can't get safeguard yourself. Azazel doesn't really cleanse the team. I would have liked that as well. So there's a lot of things that happen to the Accursed team before they get to go. They get the offense down from a character like Sombra. They maybe die along the way. Actually, I guess I don't win this matchup by the looks of it. We get stuck behind villain taunts still. We're still at the mercy of just faster characters. Azazel doesn't answer any of those questions to me. So I don't think Azazel is a big benefit to the Accursed team the way that I felt it was sort of advertised. He certainly doesn't replace Hood, who stops speed bar, hero taunt, hero charges. He doesn't replace Satana, who I believe stops speed up, and she gives you damage reduction. She stops a whack load of divas from being put on you. Doesn't stop Hellfire, who's just way more damage. Stops something like Deathproof for Mephisto. And Juggernaut is a pre-taunt. I guess if you want to try and place Juggernaut, I could see that. Juggernaut not, clearing his friends when he does his specials, super lame. Yeah. So as far as like the best fifth for Accursed goes, I don't think Azazel's that big a jump up from Mordo. Which, I mean, maybe that's my bias. Maybe I was looking for that because I built my Mordo up and I don't want to have to replace him. He's clearly a little bit better with that Terminator Rewind, but it's not enough for me to be like, oh, Accursed is the best team ever now, and they're going to beat every single Professor X team. No, long shot from that. Much long shot from that. Let's go check out the Immortal team and see if they're faring any better here. All right, switching gears, let's head on over to the Immortal X-Men and Rachel Summers. And I gotta say, I'm a little bit happier about the synergy we have here. I didn't really think Azazel shored up the Accursed weaknesses very much, but Rachel seems to do a good job when it comes to the Immortal X-Men. So what are the weaknesses? Omega Sentinel and OG Emma can stun your entire team before you get to do anything, and you lose, right? Well, not anymore, because we're gonna have immunity on spawn in all game modes, so that's fantastic. Powerful. A team like the Phoenix Force team, we're just kind of one step behind. It feels like that those overpowered characters, that Gladiator, that Thanos, that Omega Red, even if they're stuck starting with their basics, they're just one-shotting you because those characters made so much more sense to bring Professor X than a lot of our Immortal characters did. Well, this additional Terminator one we have when we apply slow and we have 3 Immortal X-Men is all the difference in the world. It really is all the difference in the world. So this is something I was really excited about. Let's jump back to a meeting for a second, though, because it's the first fight we're going to watch. It made me think about Mephisto. So let's check out some of the same fights we showed before. This is against Mephisto Null. I want to have another conversation about Overpowered before we continued. This fight would go so much worse than it goes in this recording. As you can see, it's not going great. Because this is, again, a team where you would probably have 3 people having Overpowered, and you may have nobody on your Immortal team with gear tier 20, right? Obviously, I try to stun a stupid target. We can't turn me to rewind into Mark Mephisto. We can't land trauma to Mark Mephisto. And so this matchup is bad. It's bad. So although the immunity is interesting when you think about Mephisto enemy teams, I think a smart or like just a semi-valuable Mephisto enemy team is still going to be too much for the Immortals team to handle, even with Rachel. We're not getting those extra rewinds. We're not getting that extra trauma that she provides. So it's kind of not the best fit. Let's go check out a different fight. All right, so another weakness that the Immortal X-Men team had, it would be something like Night Stalkers. If you were to go into a team that is just faster than you generally, even faster than the little speed bar that you get onto your Storm, who's already at 131, that can be bad. You see Storm gets absolutely shellacked here. And there's only 2 characters going first. If there was an Agatha here, or God forbid, if this was a Fantastic Four team, this is a loss. So not the best showing here either. Let's move on. All right, this is the team I wanted these characters to beat more than anything else. I wanted this team to, well, go good up against the Phoenix Force team, and it does, which is why I actually I'm pumped for Rachel way more than I am Azazel. So obviously there's no taunt issue here because of the Immortal X-Men team. We can stun, so I go for the Thanos endgame stun here, but no trauma because of Phoenix Force. We get Turn Meter Rewind. We got more Turn Meter Rewind, obviously, when we did the Storm special, so we're in better control here. And this is all the difference in the world, because that enemy team over there is probably going to have 3, if not 4 out of their 5 members at Gear Tier 20. And you might have none on yours, because this is like I mean, Jean Grey is great in Professor X, but the rest of them, whatever, right? So when you get those basic attacks from an Omega Red, or from a Gladiator, or from a Thanos, that could just spell death for characters, and that could be really bad. But with that extra rewind, we're actually going before a lot of them. So before it really becomes a problem, we're going first. And this isn't stage 6 where we're losing that speed up. So we have some deaths happen at the same time, but we're still in good shape. And here, I would just pause the game after taking out the Phoenix, and we're kind of good. So I was much more impressed with this showing. And this was subbing out Cable instead of Beast. I don't know why you would do that. I know they talked about that. I would put the brother-sisters together. Put Cable with Rachel and Mama over there in the corner, okay? Let it be a family affair. There's not just one fantastic family in Marvel. Cable just does more. You know, he's got the Turn Meter Rewind. He can give himself Turn Meter. He got buff strips on his special when he's charged up. I think he's a better character than Beast. I'm not seeing the Beast hype. He can hit as many characters as Beast on that opening attack. We never really reached that Beast ultimate, so who cares? And it comes down to that. But one thing I didn't get to test that I wish I did was up against Illuminati. So Rachel Summers and the Immortal X-Men team seemed that they were probably programmed to be able to handle Illuminatis, which, I mean, that's cool. That is a big step up, because we start seeing some Illuminati teams, and some of the teams we'll see is like Illuminati with Black Knight. Well, okay, sorry to say Black Knight, but Immortals already had your number, right? They're already stripping your charges. They're already bypassing your pre-taunt, and then they're stunning you, so you're not getting a speed bar either, right? So they were already kind of a good Black Knight counter. Now, if they can double up and start being Illuminati, that's pretty good too. And it's this line of text right here that is the most intriguing to me. So on enemy turn, if that character has speed up, Illuminati, or stun, hopefully Illuminati soon, attack for 250% piercing, and flip 3 positive effects and negative effects. This is going to be really powerful. Like when Black Panther Shuri goes, boom. When Hank goes, boom. Hank will, of course, clear everything and give them safeguard after that. And then, you know, we don't have a decay here, which is really, really unfortunate. Okay, it's fine. It still seems like they would beat the Illuminati team. We're also stopping assists. So that would stop, like, Odinati. That would stop. I don't think they beat Odinati, by the way. I think Odinati would still have their number, right? He would get charges after Storm goes, and then you just wouldn't be able to kill, and all of a sudden that battlefield effect would eventually come into play, and you would die, is my guess. But they'd be able to hang a lot better, for sure. And they would probably beat most versions of Illuminati, which is somewhat interesting. So I do think that this is a good step up for Immortals, and I'm excited for Immortals to be a lot better. If I were to have rated Immortals before this patch, I would say they were a solid B Crucible offense team. Like, we have to use them every week, but sometimes it gets really sketchy. It would probably bring them up to like an A-. And Accursed is really good once you have them built up, when you have them at good star levels. They have those glaring weaknesses, though, and if you bring them into a match with those glaring weaknesses, you're gonna die. Right? And Azazel doesn't fix that. So if Accursed was already an A, and they're not A+, I would say they're like a A-, A tier offensive team, they'd just stay there. Right? So Rachel, I think, is definitely the winner of this patch here. A little concerning with that raid footage. Interesting to know what you guys think, though. I gotta head out. I hope you enjoyed this content. My phone died while I was recording this, which is hilarious. But for now, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, have yourself a wonderful day. Once again, let me know in the comments what you thought about what you saw here today, and if you are excited about the Hellfire Club team, Azazel for the Accursed, or Rachel for the Immortal X-Men team. And let me know if I missed something that's super important that you've been theory crafting. All right, guys, take care and have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.